are the Museum of Creative Human Art, where we continue to inspire the creation of art in underserved communities. I'm Michael Russell, Antwoine, Washington, and today we have a special guest, Gigi Elder.
Gigi.
Good evening.
We definitely appreciate you you coming through and you know, sharing your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Gigi is an educator, community coach, mother of 2 adults, and a proud alumni of the Neighborhood Leadership Institute here in Cleveland,
right
Ohio.
Here in Cleveland, yes.
That's what's up.
Well, man,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you coming through, and so Gigi was kind of with us through kind of helping us strategically plan for next year, and we thought it would be important to bring you here on this platform to kind of talk about who the Museum of Creative Human Art is. Who are these 2 individuals, myself and, you know, Antwoine, to kind of tie us in, to kind of, you know, share in dialogue about who we are, what the organization is all about, and really just help engage in a great conversation today. So, again, we appreciate it. So I'm going to hand the platform over to you.
All right.
And
The new co-host.
right. The new co-host.
All right. So tell me this, what does Mocha, what does it stand for?
Mocha stands for the Museum of Creative Human Art.
And how did you get that name? Who came up with it?
I came up with it.
Okay.
This guy.
It was kind of like trying to figure out how we can put all of these different personalities into like, what does that, like, personalities, artistic characteristics, different creative people in one room. I thought of it as like a Silicon Valley for black artists in a sense. And artists of all, all alike, you know what I mean? I just thought about it like all under one roof. Silicon Valley, Harlem Renaissance, how does that sound? So I thought, well, the Museum of Creative Human Art, okay, we're all human, we're all creators under one roof, and I feel like we're God's creations and we're his walking and talking works of art, I'll say that. And so I just thought, man, that has a good ring to it, it's pretty cool, and man, we all are walking museums in representation of ourselves and God. So I just looked at how that all played a part into the name and was like, yeah, that's it. It just felt good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the 2 of you know each other?
Oh man, that kind of goes back. That goes back. Actually, we're both from Pontiac, Michigan. Kind of grew up in the same atmosphere. Playing basketball, high school, all the et cetera. Sure. So that's how we kind of come to know each other, and just seeing each other.
And we kind of like family adjacent through marriage. My cousin is married to his uncle.
Okay. So how did this journey with coming together and doing this collab with the museum, how did that come into fruition?
I think it came a few ways. I was working at the post office at the time, carrying mail. It was a real brutal job out in there, getting chased by dogs and out in this type of weather.
Please don't bite
deep
the
snow. Right. Yeah, about calling him every day about to quit. Like, man, yo, I'm out. And then we just began to start talking. I think he was on his way out of Collinwood at the time. He was looking for a career change and wanted to go more into the entrepreneurial route. Okay. Me, I've always been in that. And so me having this 9 to 5 was a little bit different for me. And so I'm like, nah, man, I got to get out of here. He was like, he needed a change too. So we started to like kind of plan what we wanted to do and kind of like started to like, you know, bridge these ideas together. And so he brought what he brought to the table and I brought what I brought to the table. And then we just started like cooking up this big pot of gumbo.
You say the same thing. Nothing you want to add to that?
So, yeah, I mean, he kind of took the words out of my mouth in regard to how we came together. And I just couldn't help but be motivated by the name itself, Museum of Creative Human Art, and kind of tying it to the young creatives that I saw each and every day in Collinwood. In all the 12 schools that we served, working with the school districts and mentoring young people, I couldn't help but be motivated by them, that name. And I said, man, it's the perfect opportunity for us to come together and be able to say, okay, how can we help serve these young people so that they don't almost get overlooked?
Okay.
so that they don't get overlooked. Let's begin to provide an opportunity for them that makes sense.
So when most people hear the word museum,
Yeah,
they think brick and mortar.
for sure.
Help us understand what this museum entails.
Yeah, so right now we don't actually have like a quote unquote brick and mortar, but it goes back to us representing ourselves outside of the brick and mortar.
Okay.
And so I look at each one of us as a walking museum. And so when selling the idea of it is getting people to look at themselves as a piece of art. You know what I mean? Like we're all different, but we're all human at the same time. So a canvas is a canvas until someone puts something on it, and then it becomes something different, but still the interior and the actual makeup of it is a canvas. You know what I mean? So it didn't get taken out of the frame or the stretcher of the canvas.
Okay.
It's just pretty much like the artist added his touch to the actual exterior of the canvas. And so that's how I feel like, you know, with us as people, like we put on clothes. If I put on an outfit, you put on an outfit, we both look different, but we're both human, and we could all have the same mindset and the same mind frame and going forward. So that's kind of like how I looked at it when I was like thinking about this whole like museum kind of idea.
Okay. You see it the same way, Mike?
I see it the same way, but I also couldn't help but get distracted by those blaring sirens, which kind of made a great backdrop, great in sound.
Always.
Right.
So if you
Can't
could
get around that.
So if you could just help me, could you ask the question again?
So when you think of the word museum, most people think brick and mortar, you know, or something like that. So what does the word museum mean as far as the work that you do?
A collection. What that looks like, you know, you can create it. Anybody can create it. You walk into it, and you walk into it as a blank canvas.
Okay.
And so that's what we want to do. We want to be able to say, okay, as this blank canvas, how can we come together collectively with other people around Cuyahoga County? How can we come together and say, let's create something dope. Let's create something that these young people can be inspired by, especially in the inner cities. I mean, come on, like where else? Like what else do they have? Why not create something that's centered around art, that's centered around, and so art is so all encompassing. It's so many disciplines. We're not just saying come in here and draw. We're saying, okay, come here and help us create something. No different than, you know, Noam Chomsky, who's at MIT, who says, okay, let's all sit around in the think tank and create something. That's what a museum, in my mind, that's what we want to create, a think tank that of creators.
History. I think about history. I think about the time capsule, interpreting things that's going on now and telling those stories that's near and dear to us, and also it can actually help push our communities forward as well. So like inspiring the youth, giving us our true self all the time, not being fake, because the kids can also, you know, we know that they pick up on fake. They can tell if you capping,
if you're not authentic,
if you're not 100, they know fake.
Facts.
So it's that too. So I think like when you go into a museum, the same concept. Oh, that's fake. Or you see somebody walking down the street. Oh, them Jordans is fake. So it's still all like lines up. You know what I mean, with how the universe works. So I think the name museum can work in any capacity in the work that we do.
Okay. So was that the first name you came up with and you rolled with it, or did you have to come up with other names? And then fine tune it to decide on the final name?
The museum has always been there.
Yeah,
okay.
But we played with other names,
other
ways of saying it. But
Yeah.
we came to. I said, man, Antwoine, man, this is we need to go with. He said, oh, I mean, I created this, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
And then the response that we were getting at the time when we were traveling, the response that we were getting from people looking at it, it was always more questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we just knew that, you know, that was it.
That was it. Sparks of conversation.
Because even me, myself, when I think of the acronyms, I see color.
For sure.
You know, I see color.
That's a fact.
Even flavor when
Yeah.
I think of it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you guys earn a living? I heard how you earned your living prior to
Yeah.
this. What did you do prior?
So I was working with the Cleveland School District. I was working at Collinwood High School, and with a program called Closing the Achievement Gap, where it was centered around mentoring at-risk, and I say that in quotes, man, at-risk youth. And so I used to always tell the young people, man, this isn't a job for me. Y'all are me. And so I took it on as something that was just a way of life, and helping them kind of navigate through their journey. However, it came to an end when I felt that it was time to move on and be an inspiration in a different capacity.
So I heard you say, y'all are me. Tell me more about that. What did you mean when you tell them that?
So my background is unique. Just being the son of an ex-NBA player, it was people always looking at me like, oh man, you probably grew up in a mansion, huh? No, it wasn't like that. Okay. So I grew up in, like I tell them, in Pontiac is no different than East Cleveland. Yeah. It's no different than, so I grew up in the hood like you. And they're like, no, really, Russ? That's what they call me. Really, Russ?
Right.
Yeah, I grew up in the cities like, yeah.
Okay.
I had to go and had to not go this way, but had to focus on basketball or whatever the case may be. So you're me.
Okay. I
had to go through those obstacles and not, do some of the things that these young people do today. So I felt I had to do it. I had to be here for you. You're me. So why not be able to give you what I wasn't given as a young person?
So when I think about it, I'm you all's elder, not just by name, but me being the age that I am, I remember coming up and like my parents felt like, oh wow, good job, post office. Ooh wow, school system.
Yeah.
How do you tell someone younger that I walked away from that in order to do this? What pulled your passion to that degree?
Ooh. I would say for me, it was just being unhappy at a job. You know what I mean? Happiness is key. I mean, I can't make my wife happy unless I make myself happy. I can't make anybody else feel good, the energy good, in whatever room I walk in unless my energy is good. And so me being berated at work every day, me feeling like a slave at work, just wasn't really mixing. And I wasn't being a productive worker even for them because I'm somewhere else working for a company that I hate. Now, no disrespect to the USPS, because I respect everybody who carries mail because that's a very hard job.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
However, man, it just wasn't for me. I knew where I needed to be, and it was art. And I knew if I didn't follow that passion, I would kill myself, and not like physically kill myself, but I would actually kill the creative person inside of me if I didn't do it, because I was suppressing it by being there. Okay. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to billionaire podcasts. I'm listening to all of this stuff while I'm carrying mail, and I wasn't supposed to even be doing that. And just doing that and then dreaming as I'm on a job just took me there. So I tell anybody or any person who is unhappy with something that they're doing, drop that and go find happiness. And when you find that, then you can make everyone around you feel better, and then you're going to make yourself feel better by doing something that you love. Don't do it for the paycheck. Don't do it to make other people look at you status-wise. Do it because you love it. You know what I mean? And that's what got me out of it. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay. Mm-hmm. How about you? How could you just walk away from that?
Being intentional, and knowing that wasn't the end. I was always, talking to, the young people each and every day and talking to them about how you can't be complacent, and everything in life, it always changes. Yeah. And so what would that change look like? It's up to you. Right. What that change looks like, it's up to you. And so in my mind, no different than what Antwoine was just saying about how you're dreaming about what's next. Well, for me, I'm dreaming about what's next. Yeah. And so I said, okay, when will the exit come? So it was a perfect timing that I was able to kind of make a transition and just be bold enough to do it, and as Antwoine was saying, if anytime that you're unhappy, think about plan and just make the move. But also understanding that there's gonna be ups and downs.
Pain.
This isn't a
Pain.
as Nipsey Hussle says, man, you go through every emotion when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's not this easy. I'm about to just make this transition, because really, there's gonna be some real hard bumps along the way.
A lot of pain, a lot of lonely times. A lot of times you feel dark. You feel like you by yourself, even when you got a partner. You know what I mean? I mean, because he has to go through his own darkness and passion too, because he has his own family. I have my own family, and so you look at that. It's like, how the hell do we support each other?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And support our families and move forward. And I mean, I think trusting in God and moving forward and what it is that what we were trying to do, and being intentional about what we were trying to do, is what got us here. You know what I mean? It's not being what you call fake. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But actually being intentional and meaning. I'll just say like this, like my granddaddy or anybody else would say, stand what you do. You know what I'm saying? If you say you're gonna do it, be a man to stand on that word and do it.
Yeah.
Like, stand what you do. And I think that's what we did. We told people what we were gonna do, and then they were looking like, how y'all gonna do that?
Right.
And we was like, okay, you'll see. And we just put the work in. And so I think that was one of those things that, you know, if you know, to extend on that question is what got us to this point where we feel comfortable and able to do what we need to do for the community.
Okay. Because I don't know if you recall this. It was profound for me one time. We were in the office at Collinwood, and some of the kids were talking, and they were asking, like, how many years have we been with the district? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And so at one time I was like, oh yeah, I've been with the district more than 20 years. Yeah. And the kids was like, I never work anywhere 20 years. Right. They were like at the same place. You know, and they had me thinking like,
that mindset, listen to that mindset.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So with that, what fears came along the way for you stepping out?
Of loss. I mean,
I can go first.
Let's go back and forth.
The main fear is being broke. Like, I'm like, damn, like how I'm gonna pay my bills, or how I'm gonna make things happen, or how I'm gonna keep up with the Joneses, because you're thinking that way too. That's the ego I had to kill.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of it was just like how people would perceive me. Like, my grandma was like, why would you leave a 401k and a good paying job, and why would you could got benefits and you can go to the dentist and you can. I said, Grandma, I'm not happy. She like, I don't give a damn.
Right.
And I was like, well, all right, you know I'm an artist, you know that's what I want to do, so just believe in me this time. I did everything y'all asked me to do. I went to college, I graduated, I did all of these things that y'all wanted me to do. Now it was my time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, but I would say, like, my fear was letting everybody down, being broke and letting everybody down, letting my family down.
Okay.
So I'd say that for sure.
Yeah. That is, in a nutshell, everything he just said. The fear of disappointing not only your family but yourself. Mm-hmm. Man, what if it doesn't happen? What if I fail? Like, what do I do? Mm-hmm. You know, and getting rid of that ego, you know, just the fear of disappointment. I'll just say that to kind of just answer it really clear. Mm-hmm. Just disappointing my family and myself.
So along this journey, what's the greatest mistake you've made that you're glad you made it?
That's a hell of a question right there, G. The greatest thing.
The greatest mistake you've made, but you're glad you made it. You know, and I asked that question because along the way, when you think of entrepreneurship, it's not everything. You don't know everything when you start out.
That's a fact.
So what could you point to?
Trust.
Okay.
I trust it. I think, and maybe he could speak to the same thing, but I think trusting people and believing in other people to stand on what they do. You see what I'm saying? Like, they say, oh yeah, we got you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then when it's time to do it, ghost.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think I think it was probably one of the greatest mistakes that we would make is being gullible in the beginning. It's like, oh yeah, they said they gonna do this, and then we running out telling people what they said they was gonna do for us, and then we look like egg all on our face, and we look crazy, and then we got to go back and say, all right, false alarm. You got to tell your wife, false alarm. You got to tell the internet, false alarm. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I would say that.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's it.
That was.
Looking for ourselves in other people.
Yep.
Because we try to be about following through.
Okay.
You know, following, I mean, just that simple act of following through and looking for that in other people, you can't. So you have to kind of lower your expectations when you're looking to get a certain response from other people and that kind of deal.
So expecting them to have the same character
Yeah.
that you have and then
Absolutely.
they're following
Huge
through.
mistake.
That was a mistake.
Okay.
Trusting a man was a huge mistake that we made.
So have you lost friendships along the way?
I would say
With the
no.
journey.
Nah.
I would say no because none of them was our friends. Because I feel like friend is a very, very strong term.
Okay.
And I feel like if you're gonna use that word, then my friends ain't gonna not leave me out there to dry.
Fact.
I feel like real people, like I consider him my friend because he ain't leave me out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could have been a time where he could have said, you know what, man, I'm done. I'm out. But he didn't. You know, even when it was times where it looked like he probably was like, man, I got to do something different, he still was like, nah, we still got to keep doing it. And same with me, man. It was the same thing. So I think, friend, none of them was our friends. But you look at it now, it looks like it's more so like, yeah, y'all was just trying to figure out how y'all can angle and it can be beneficial and valuable to you. And if you didn't see that, or see how you can make some money off of what we had going on,
Okay.
then it was like, nah, I ain't rocking. You know what I mean? So I would say no. What you think?
Yeah.
You haven't lost any? Any great collaborations that have come about?
Out of it,
Great collaborations.
I would say the one here.
There's
the
no
one here
question.
where we had the mail halls. That probably was one of the greatest ones. Also, you know, collaborating with some of the
Waterloo Arts.
Waterloo Arts,
was
Slavic Village,
Slavic Village.
Stella Walsh.
Stella Walsh.
Okay.
Yep.
Those three, because that's what launched us. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think Mayhall's launched our artist series and allowing us to have the gallery space in their upstairs apartment to be able to do the initiative that we're doing for local artists, and then the community work. I mean, Waterloo Arts. I mean, allowing us to collaborate with them in Slavic Village and the Stella Walsh Rec Center, allowing us to collaborate with them as well. So I think those three have probably been the ones that's probably been very, very, I say, like key for what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Is there a common thread that you could say about each of them?
They all white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thread?
Yeah.
But are they mainly invested in community?
Invested in community, Slavic Village, as an organization, they're invested in the community.
Okay.
Because that's their mission. The Recreation Center, Stella Walsh, they're invested in the community. And so common thread, just all of them being centered in the middle of the neighborhood, drop dead in the middle of this underserved communities.
Okay.
And so it was fitting for us to say, oh, yeah, this fits.
Yeah.
It makes sense for us to do this because you're serving the young people that we want to get in front of and
a
say,
fact.
hey, we're here for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we want to be that inspiration. So that was probably the common thread amongst them all.
Yeah. Me and some of my brothers and sisters got to start stepping up for us too.
So what inspires the two of you?
Man, I've been talking a lot. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
mean, the inspiration is endless. You know, anytime that we're beginning a program in these communities, I'm inspired. I'm uplifted. Every time I see the young person smiling and excited to come in, you know, that was the selling for me. That was the selling point to make us. Well, that was that moment where I said we're doing the right thing. When the young people said, "I love it.
Yeah.
You guys are leaving. Oh, it's over already. Oh yeah, this is where we need to be.
Yep.
Because they're asking for it, and so that is inspiration to me. Not to mention all the young people who I've crossed paths with. I had a hard time saying that, but they motivate me to be better. Okay. They've changed my life, so why would I not? Why would I turn my back on them? But just to continue to be inspired by them and say, okay, I got to keep moving ahead because they're counting on it. Okay. They're counting on it.
I say the same thing. I echo that same sentiments. I think the kids is what. I mean, I learned from them. I like to say that they're teaching me. Every time I go into the classroom, I'm learning something new, you know, and learning how bright they is. And like, these kids are geniuses, man. Like, and so if we don't invest into the community, into these young people, like I like to say, like I've been telling people from the jump, even when I was fighting at the table, and I don't want to say fight like physically, but I'm always in these debates with people about my ideas. And so when we were first getting this thing started, I was always at the table with people like, yo, I don't care about my peers. Like, I didn't even want to help local artists, to be honest with you. I only wanted to just help the kids, but that was coming behind me because I was once them and I understand what they need. And so I'm like, nah, we got to go after them. We need to go to the youth because they are about to take this over. And if we don't move out, we don't at least have something or build something for them, then hey, they gonna make us move out the way.
Right.
So let's start investing into the next generation. Sorry about that, I hit the mic. We got to start investing to this next generation. So when I say me being inspired by them, is seeing all of the things that they come up with. I mean, all of the new dances, all of the latest music, the fashion, everything comes from the kids. It all comes from them. And so they keep me inspired every day watching them. And so when I go into the classroom, like he said, like Mike said, like you go into there and it's like, man, they love being in there. Why is that? It's because we're receptive to them. We don't look at them as just kids. We look at them as like, hey, y'all teaching us something too. I don't know as much as you think I do. I can learn a lot from you. So just being inspired by how free they are, how they just don't care, how they not coming in there judging. They love you. They come in there. They not looking at us and like, man, what he got on or what? No, they coming in there with open mind. They coming in there like how I wish I could go back and be. You know what I mean? And I gotta unlearn all of this stuff that was put on me to be back to that mindset of how they are now. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I'm inspired by when I look at the kids is that they're so free.
What piece of advice would you give your 15-year-old self today?
You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. 2 eyes, 1 mouth. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Yep.
2 eyes, 1 mouth.
Yep.
Which one is important? You know, to begin to go after those things that you're passionate about.
Yeah. And
don't let nobody, you know, kind of steer you in another direction that you just don't feel comfortable with.
Okay. You
know, growing up, it was always basketball, art, no basketball. this outside of that, or you gonna go to the corner, sell drugs. Yeah, you can do that if you want to. But you know, I was fortunate enough to have some guys in my corner that were like, nah, you playing basketball.
Okay.
Art, yeah, you playing basketball. So I would say, man, just follow your heart. You know, you listen, observe, and be slow to talk.
I would say same thing. Be slow to speak. Listen more. Also, man, don't chase money. I would say that. Don't go into a profession because it makes a lot of money. Go into the profession because you love it, and follow what's really on your heart. Like I would tell my 15-year-old self nah, man, go force your mother to put you in art school. Go force yourself to get better at art. Go force yourself to be in front of artists. Go to museums. Do all of that. I would tell my 15-year-old self to do that because I think monkey see, monkey do is what our community always does. Oh, he's selling drugs and he got all the girls and he got the dope car. I want to do that. Oh, he hooping, he getting in the newspaper, he doing this. Oh, I want to do that. Isaiah Thomas, Jordan, all of them. I want to be that. But instead, we're not looking at the astronauts. We're not looking at the artists. We're not looking at the scientists because he look corny. That's how we look at it.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, nah, that's what I want to be. Because now you got all of the nerdy dudes, quote unquote, they got all the hot chicks. You see what I'm saying? And so you look at that and it's like,
tables turn.
hey man, Bezos, all of them, man, they got billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, and they able to buy your artwork. So it makes sense right now, like, but it didn't make sense then. So I tell my 15-year-old self, hey, follow your dreams and really go with what you're really good at.
What goals have you all set for the museum?
I got a lot of them.
Yeah, it's so many, and I hate to even bring it out the bag just yet. But just continuing to just follow the mission. I think that if we follow the mission, and that we'll be on the right course. We believe that we have a strong foundation, and it was based off of and built off of truth.
Okay.
So with that, when we continue to follow this mission and not worry about the nicks and the bruises, the bites, and not just stay focused, we'll be on the right path. But I would hate to kind of disclose too much.
Yeah. You won't let no secrets out. Okay. So then tell me this. So when you thought about creating what you did and you all's partnership, what were your immediate goals that you've already accomplished?
I say doing what we're doing now, as far as like helping local artists, doing things around art. We didn't necessarily have art shows or exhibitions on our list of actually being like a priority, but it kind of happened that way.
Okay.
I'll say like, that, making sure that we're getting into the community and teaching kids how to be artists, not necessarily like trying to make them do art the way we want them to do it, but pulling the best out of them. And so I think that's what we've been good at and moving forward, and what we set out to initially do. I think we're doing everything. Okay. It's just that we just don't have the actual physical space that houses everything under one roof. Mm-hmm. And but when you look at it, we're how it's lined up, we are doing everything that we said we want to do. Yeah. Now we're just plugging in the other stuff that's coming along.
So with everything being the way it is, and when COVID hit March 13th, do you think you physically need that? Yeah,
I was gonna say that is it's kind of played to our favor. Being a somewhat, in today's popular word is pop-up.
Right.
Being in these pop-up spaces has allowed us to be free. Mm-hmm. With not a lot of overhead, and allowed us to really kind of expand more. Mm-hmm. And so it's really kind of playing in our favor with this whole COVID-19, and just coming off of the collaboration with Waterloo Arts in the midst of COVID-19. And we had a successful program where we were introducing the young people to fine arts, and no mishaps, Nobody catching anything, and so we were excited about that.
Staying healthy.
Yeah. So we were excited about that, just being able to have something be successful during these times.
Yeah.
And up here when we was doing the shows, we didn't have anybody say like, "Hey, I went to the art show and I caught Corona," so that was a good thing too, because the news would be ready to come in for something like that.
Absolutely.
They ain't gonna come in for the positive stuff though. They'll come in for that though.
And when we think of our community-based places, like even here, us being here in Mahal's with shared usage, that's important to try to keep community going, especially these small businesses. So you don't want to give any insight to 2026, what Mocha will be looking like?
Oh yeah, I think across the country with it, across the world, and then hopefully the world. You know what I mean? I think this idea can scale around the world. I think what we have coming down the pipe, and what me and him constantly is always on the phone talking for like hours about like what we see, because that's what got us here.
Yeah, what's those conversations like?
It's hours, man.
It's hours.
Literally, we're on the phone sometimes for like 2 hours, hour and a half, talking about this. Mm-hmm. And so people don't understand, we used to sit in the coffee shop and talk the same way to get here. Yeah. And so we have to continue to dream and talk like the way we're talking in order to get here. That's our boardroom. You know what I mean? And so those conversations go from, I mean, what's going on in society, spiritual conversations. I mean, what we're going through in our personal lives. I mean, everything goes into those conversations.
Wasn't it that shout out to 6 shooters? Was it over there?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Shout out 6 shooters in Collinwood.
Shout out. Yeah. Art District.
Art District. Every day.
Yeah.
I mean, at least once or twice a week.
Yeah, Pete created something special over there with the 6 shooter. And even, man, shout out to Black Valve too, man, for just really coming through and doing that thing, man, with this with the cameras and audio and just really man, just doing a great thing with this, man. So y'all just gotta go check them out, man. Black Valve, man. Check them out on Instagram.
That's a fact.
But just coming off of that art program, man, has really made me say this can be this can be a worldwide thing. It really can, and we just have to continue to talk future. We can't talk right now,
right?
Because right now it's right now.
Yeah.
So how do we continue to have this conversation, but just talk about where we want to go, and when we get there, we talk about where we're gonna go again, because it's a journey.
Yeah. It's, those conversations, though, G. Yeah, it gets deep, man.
Yeah,
it gets deep.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So anytime that you are feeding into youth, you also have to enjoy the present by taking care of self.
For sure.
What do you guys do to take care of self? What do you do to fill your own buckets?
It was working out before the pandemic.
Before the COVID. Before the COVID.
Yeah,
but not
COVID.
It's reading
books,
reading
you
know,
a lot.
Us we're always talking about the future. We're always talking about, you know, the young people and making impact, and, you know, who else we can, you know, bring on board, and just trying to stay encouraged, you know, through this whole time, and also family, you know, just, you know, seeing our little ones grow up and you know, trying to be an inspiration to them as well. Yeah, they don't get it now, but, you know, to be able to set something in motion for them so that you can, you know, hand it down.
Facts. I think
so
the
that
same
keeps
thing.
us going.
Same thing. It's family. Like I said, it can't work out like I want to, but
yeah, man,
that's
a
a tough one.
Clearly you all need it so much too. I can just tell. I'm just saying.
I mean, finding something to eat that's good is something that it takes me sitting in front of a nice, good meal, man. It's something that kind of like centers me. And reading a book, watching a lot of like old documentaries on like history. I just like to just sit and just continue to feed my spirit in that way, and that kind of like levels me out a little bit. And also venting to my wife. She probably gets tired of me, man. I'm always, they doing this, they doing that, they doing that.
Right.
She becomes my sounding board for a lot of ideas as well, but that kind of me getting that out helps me to not go on social media and hit send.
Yeah.
Say things out.
The most dangerous button.
The most dangerous button is send.
In the world. That's the little red button.
Yeah. Very dangerous button.
Yeah,
especially at like 2:30, 3 a.m.
That's a fact.
Or now it's 11.
It's 11.
PM.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And that is, and like he just said about it, is about his wife. I mean, that my wife continues to encourage me just by her actions.
Yeah.
You know, what she's doing both professionally and individually as a person.
Yep.
I just continue to kind of use that as some more fuel for myself.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Especially because I think of even myself looking at you two, you know, strong African American men.
I appreciate that.
And being creative, you know, and thinking of you the maker and you the artist.
Yeah.
How would you describe your form of art?
Yeah, I'll say it's a form of historical storytelling for the times now.
Wait a minute, did you just say storytelling?
Storytelling.
We was just talking about a different form of storytelling a little earlier, right?
That's a fact.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I like to say, like, I like to give people like history in a time capsule for now. I mean, I think everything has been said over and over again, because I go back and look at Fred Hampton and what he was talking about. It literally sounds like what people are saying today. And so what I have to do is, what I like to do is just like tell those stories and be able to do it in the exact same way that my ancestors was able to tell it, but through my instrument, which is art. And so looking at what Bob Marley did with music, looking at what Jacob Lawrence did with his paintbrush, looking at what Malcolm did with his microphone and the Quran, and learning from Elijah Muhammad and just all of these different great men that came before us, taking my instrument and doing and telling our stories from our perspective, and like we just had that conversation, would turn into an inspiration for a piece. Mm-hmm. And so it's being able to like pass something along to the next generation of artists and creatives, to be able to leave something behind where they can find something in it that identifies with them, to be able to take it for another 100 years and then continuing to pass that torch on and on and on. So it's literally passing down generations of stories and history through the works that I try to create.
Okay. How about you?
Man, I got caught up in what he was saying. I'm listening. I'm just
I
like,
was
wow.
asking him about how would he describe his form of art.
Yeah.
So you're an artist, a maker. So how would you describe your passion and the things that you do?
Wanting to see other people's visions come to life. Wanting to help their visions come to life.
So what's your vision?
My vision is to be an inspiration to young people.
Okay.
At all times. At all times, it's just being able to leave something with them as this person had an impact in my life in this short period of time.
Okay.
If I can continue to do that, I'm successful. You know, I'm good.
Okay. 8 years old. When you guys were 8 years old.
For sure.
Who put that gleam in your eye? Who did you see before you that you were motivated by?
You talking about as far as like in art?
In life.
Oh, in life. I say probably like my first person would probably be like who I was motivated by. Probably my dad. Yeah, probably my dad. Even though he had a rough life, but now looking back in hindsight, man, I just see a visual representation of who I was going to be in a more positive way though. But I think he just didn't have the information that I'm able to have. And so I would say he was probably like my first hero. Okay. You know what I mean? Even though I don't have any like heroic stories, but just he did what he could with the information that he had. I'll say that.
And the consistency could be an heroic story.
Yeah.
So to speak.
I appreciate him for being in my life.
Yeah.
More so now than I did then, because I understand he was running the streets and stuff, but still he was like my first, like, oh, that's how I could become a man. You know what I mean? And so
you're a father now yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd say him.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
It was the same. I mean, we grew up in a really tight knit family, tight knit city where it was about village, and so I would say, man, as a collective, again, then we go back to that word collective, and I think that's what shapes my mindset around coming together and helping one another build. Yeah. And so I would say just the community, man, Pontiac itself, you know, Cleveland itself has really been just a motivation for me. But that first person was, I would have to say my pops. Yeah. My pops and my uncles, you know, just being able to see them and play ball, be the dads, be the husbands, and also those community figures who people looked up to. So that, I mean, it made me say, okay, I know I have big shoes to fill.
Okay. Coming from Pontiac, what's special about Cleveland? What keeps you here?
My wife, for sure.
That's a good thing.
That's a fact. But I'll say, besides her and my family, being here is probably just like the energy is good here. I think like the people are good. I think the art scene is great. Everything that I need is here. You know what I mean? Like, I think Cleveland is like a second home to me. I have really literally no complaints. I mean, I think it's a beautiful city, but I think I can appreciate it a little bit more than someone that's from here, because I get a different outlook because I come from somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But it reminds me of home.
Okay.
I'll say that. Like what he was talking about with East Cleveland, Pontiac is the same.
Okay.
Pretty much that. Detroit is like what you would call Cleveland.
Right.
And then EC would be Pontiac.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so
Yeah.
you would look at that and you see like coming from like black mayors, black police officers, and having that black teachers,
Right.
black, you know what I mean? You come from that environment and then you come here and you like, oh yeah, Cleveland is a black city, but Cleveland is segregated, no different than how Detroit is.
Okay.
And so it's like home. So I think that's why I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, the potential.
Okay.
The potential of this city is I just see I see so much potential in the people. I see so much potential in just the city itself, that I couldn't see myself leaving anytime soon. But just to be a part of that shaping and molding and building of the city.
What
and do my
regrets
part.
do you have along this
Regrets?
journey? What regrets do you
I
have?
don't have none.
Yeah, none.
I think everything is a learning experience. So I wouldn't change my story for the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets because that's kind of like a rough one to say. Like, man, I regret that.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't evolve. And so, but maybe if you would have asked me that maybe like 3-4 years ago, I probably would have said, man, I regret this, I regret that. But I think in our talks and just reading and just, I don't even really want to say I regret anything. I just say learning experience and move on from it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, and that's one of the big key components of our program is character development, and with that being said, is that journey builds that character. Those bumps and bruises, those sometimes at some point we're human too. We say, man, I wish I wouldn't have did that, but we know that it helped build us, it helped shape us, and help us appreciate the now,
Right.
and help us to kind of make better decisions moving forward.
Okay. So if you would come up with, so to say, a recipe toward entrepreneurship that you would share with youth, what components would you put in there?
Entrepreneurship.
As me being an educator,
Yeah.
for me, everything revolves around education.
Yep.
The key that unlocks doors
Is
for me
education. Is
is
education.
education. Would
I agree with that, too.
Would you give that advice to youth?
For an entrepreneur standpoint, yes, education, go learn how to become what it is that you want to become. So you can't say I want to be an artist or I want to be some type of business owner if you don't know what the hell you're doing. If you don't have the information on the business, how are you going to know how to get there? So research, getting educated, I totally agree with that. Because some people think, oh, well, he just went in a garage and created Microsoft. They don't know that he was up late nights reading about programming and different things like that. I think with anything you got to do, you have to be educated on how things work so you can be able to get to where you want to go. So education is definitely one of the first things I'll say. I'm not saying go to college to go do that, but you better go to a library and you better get a book on how to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's no excuse.
It's no excuse. YouTube.
True.
I mean, you can go on YouTube and learn how to be a graphic designer. You can learn how to paint from YouTube. You can learn how to do anything from YouTube, at least enough where you can kind of say, okay, I'm at a point where now I can go into a book and kind of get a little bit more information.
Yeah. And having that grit. I think the grit is the passion that you need in order to drive you, because when you have all those different emotions that we talked about earlier, if you don't have the passion for it, it's over. It's over. You might as well just go back to work. And I would say that's really what stands out in my mind when you talk about identifying one key word.
Yeah, education would be that one, and grit and I mean, so many words when you talk about entrepreneurship that pop up.
You think it's anything. It's like if it's a recipe, it's components
It's
that
components.
have to be there.
That
have to be infused.
for sure.
in it.
Education, man, is key, man. Helped me a lot. That's why I'm able to like jump from discipline to discipline, because I self-educated myself. I didn't take graphic design in college, but I said I want to learn how to do that, and I went and got the information.
Okay.
And so it afforded me later on to be able to incorporate that into some of my work. And so that's what I mean by, like, I would tell anybody, like, go get that information. Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are all the questions I had for you fellas at this
Man, I
time.
appreciate it. Yeah, that's it. All right, that's it.
That's
Those are
it.
like
I
4
thought
questions.
you had about 100 questions on
You
there,
know,
G.
hey, you know, I could keep rolling and asking, but those are all the ones I was equipped with for this conversation.
Hey, we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Gigi.
Appreciate you having me.
And again, we are the Museum of Creative Human Art, where we continue.
Do you think before I ain't mean to cut
No,
you?
you good.
I
You
ain't
good.
mean to cut you. I ain't
What's
mean to cut you. I ain't mean to cut you. Do we need to ask? Because we can't just leave here without her sharing some of the great work that she's also done in the community as well. Though, do you think?
Okay, we're gonna hit you with 2 or 3 questions because I know we short on time.
Yeah.
But let me get three
We
questions.
can't
up
just
outta
let
you.
the special guest go without like.
All right, we're gonna be intentional. Okay, three questions. We're gonna help you. We're just gonna throw you off guard. Man, so what can we expect from you coming in the near future? Do you have anything planned, entrepreneurship wise, counseling wise?
Well, I am a community coach for Neighborhood Leadership Institute, and yearly we have what we call an NLC class, where it's leaders creating more leadership.
Okay.
So I coach that, and I also do presentations for them. So I will continue that work because I love it.
Okay.
That's one of my passions.
We ain't gonna go too deep.
You ain't gonna go too
We ain't
deep.
go too deep. We just
You know, but I am, just like you gentlemen, I am a reader, so I'm
Yeah.
always looking into something different. So I do that. I do some work with Ridall Partnership, and they have an urban garden.
Yeah.
They also have a market.
Shout out Ridall.
Shout out to
Ridall, for
Ridall.
sure.
R.I.P. Dame.
Man.
You know, and
For sure.
they're opening up a restaurant, and in the restaurant it's going to be Guess Who's Cooking.
Yeah.
So
That's fire.
you know, I love to cook, so
That's-
some days
Oh, so
my
you gonna
menu,
be- your menu
my
gonna be in
menu,
it?
I'll be on.
Okay, man.
Yeah, I'll be.
We'll get that
Yes,
Gigi Green,
yeah.
Cosmic Greens.
Oh, yeah,
Gigi gonna
yeah,
be putting
you know,
down.
so,
We want to get
yes,
all that for sure.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely.
All right. So
Okay.
one thing. Just give us one thing you're passionate about. Oh, one thing that you're passionate about, and one good book, because I know you.
She always got a great.
Yeah. One thing you're passionate about, one good book, and then we out.
One thing I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about dissolving these fears that cause the caste system, or some people don't like to refer to it as racism, but it is what it is. I'm very passionate about that. Right. So with that, I'm actually, my latest read is Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. That's the newest one I got queued up.
What's the name of it? What's
Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. That's Acho.
Acho, yeah.
Okay.
So-
Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah.
Okay. Author. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he play football as well?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay.
He's a
Yeah,
newscaster, but he's partnered with Oprah.
Yeah,
And they're pushing his book that he just came out with on his birthday.
Okay.
So
Did you read
he
Cass,
has.
the book Cass?
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in the middle of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
tough.
that's a good one.
So pick
That's
that
a
one up
good
too.
Yeah, definitely pick that one up.
Okay.
For sure.
So I got a new book to read. Viewers, you got a new book to read.
That was it.
Yeah, so I can think of.
I survived.
Okay, now you can do the now you can do that. We got to bring Gigi back up and give her a whole segment though.
To be continued.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know how to get in touch with me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we are the Museum of Creative Human Art, where we continue to inspire the creation of art in underserved communities. And we appreciate you for listening. Tap in.
Peace.
Hey man, all is well. Stay healthy.
That's a fact.